Hey there, I'm Team Behavior Expert Josh Shipp. Today I want to talk to you about the topic of sexting, which is the sending or receiving of sexually explicit photos or videos. Now, if you haven't had a conversation with your kid about this topic, then you need to. Not because your kid may be necessarily doing this, but because it's a reality for teens in today's digital world. Now, if you're worried that your kid is sending or receiving text of sexually explicit photos or videos, you must find out for two very important reasons. Number one, these images are considered child pornography and are therefore illegal. Now, in general, most teenagers do not pay for their own cell phone. The account tends to be in the parent's name, and a lawyer could argue that the parent should be held liable for the kid's actions. So you should think of putting a cell phone in the hands of a kid no differently than tossing them the keys to the family vehicle. All right? Now, the second reason is this. Your internal anxiety of not knowing is going to eat you alive. And a healthy relationship with your kid is maintained by trust and destroyed by lack of trust. So here are some tips on how you can approach this important topic. Flat out ask your kid, are you sending or receiving sexual photos or videos? Now, the way you find out if your kid is sexting is simply by asking them straight up. Just straight up ask them. This is no time for gray area. Be direct, be clear. And how they respond to this surprising and awkward question is going to tell you everything you need to know. At this point, you know how to read the reaction of your own kid, so simply watch their reaction carefully when you straight up ask them that question. Secondly, ask the kid to see the photo and video library on their phone. Now, if the kid refuses to let you see their phone, then perhaps that's a clue that there could be a problem. Again, like most adults, kids don't get defensive unless there's actually something to hide. It's a time for you to be a parent and not a pushover. And remember that the kid and their phone is not a constitutional right, but it is actually a privilege. Now, I understand this could get tricky if the kid, has a split home situation and only visits your house on certain visitation days. However, as long as the kid is in your home, then as a parent of that home, you need to have access to monitor their electronics. This includes computer usage and phone usage. Now, regardless, every parent should have a cell phone contract with their teen. Whether or not your kid has done anything wrong or inappropriate, I highly suggest that parents write out a simple one-page contract with your kid to help establish clear written cell phone boundaries with your teen. So make sure that the contract includes these four important non-negotiables. Number one, having a cell phone is not a right, but a privilege. And this privilege can be revoked by a parent whenever they feel like something might be endangering the kid. Secondly, the electronic device is to be monitored by parents and can be asked for by a parent at any time for a brief review. Number three, the third non-negotiable, is that the kid is not allowed to view pornography on the phone or the web browser, and not allowed to send or receive sexual images from other kids, and not allowed to take video that would humiliate anyone in any way or cyberbully another person. Then the fourth clause, my favorite, is include a grandma clause in this contract. The grandma clause would simply state something like, you agree not to say or do anything on your phone that would potentially offend grandma. In other words, if grandma wouldn't approve of it, you probably shouldn't do it, right? What this does, this grandma clause, interestingly enough, is that it helps your kids sort of establish their own internal moral compass that can help them guide themselves to their own appropriate and wise decisions. So finally, work together with your kid to write out the consequences for violating these rules. Right? If any of these rules are intentionally violated, then the consequence is simple. The phone will be taken away for a length of time determined by the parents. Because ultimately, as a parent, you want your kid to be self-governed, right? And not governed by you. That's the goal. And in my experience, kids that are going to rebel are going to rebel. However, rules like this will keep good kids safe. And this also helps communicate your care for them because you're setting forth healthy boundaries to help them be safe. Now, somewhere on this page, I'm going to make sure that you have an example of a cell phone contract so you can download that and sort of edit it and tweak it to make it your own. So good luck with this. Godspeed.